Right, we're recording now. So, hello, Gary. Hello, Rachel.
Hi.
Hello. Right.
Right, over to you, Gary. Yeah. What questions
Okay,
are you?
lovely. Okay, so right, so the situation with I have an online mental health platform called Zubos. I'll update you, Rachel, what we're doing. And so we're a social enterprise, and we've decided we want to look to raise, I think it's about £15.4 million to fund any school in the country that wants to have the mental well-being system, because as you know, there's a mental health crisis for children in this country, and Zumos is a whole school approach to measurably improving well-being. So this is what we see as a very good way to actually reverse that decline. So we chose people's fundraising to have that money paid into for various schools, etc., for across the country. So with that, there were a few questions that I wouldn't mind getting answered today. I suppose one of the first easy ones, which is yes, no, is we sometimes get money from elsewhere paid into our client account. Who doesn't want to pay it through people's fundraising? Oh, can you just raise us an invoice, please, which we've done for sponsorship. So we want to be able to change the figure that has been raised on people's fundraising page. So we know we can just change that to say, well, this is how much of the 15 million we have. So we want to be able to change that, but it's not gone through people's fundraising. So that's the first question: is how do I change that figure to reflect what has been raised towards the target? That's
Okay.
one.
All right. Let's do question by question. So I'll share my screen, and then we can go through those. But also, would you like an overview of how you can fundraise, or have you very specific ways that you think you're going to fundraise, or you are settled on?
Well, I'm sure we could absolutely do with that as well, because
Okay.
we're really just kicking off with the Resilience Fund, and anything that is going to help towards that is fine. We've got specific revenue streams that we work on. We've got about 7 revenue streams, and then that will come to my more complicated question, about how we, sort of get all those revenue streams into people's fundraising. But yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
anything that's going to help us
Great.
raising
Okay.
some.
So what's the name of the account on People's Fundraising?
I should imagine it's Zumos. I've got to look. I think it meant Zumos Wellbeing, or it could well actually be the Resilience Fund.
No, right. Can you think what else it's will
Well,
be under?
probably Zumos, Zumos.
Oh, sorry, Zumos, right. Okay, great. Right. So if people are just if it's a donation, as it were, what you can do is you can go to your one of your donation pages. So just
Yeah,
say the Resilience Fund,
yeah,
and just make sure you're logged in.
yeah.
And you click donate, and there's a single offline at the bottom.
What's that say? Single offline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, what that allows you to do, that allows you to register any amount. I mean, you've got suggestions here,
yeah.
but you can specify what the payment method is. Now, so there's no charge for that. So if somebody gives you a bank transfer for £500, you put in their details here.
Yeah.
Um, Gift aid can be reclaimed on that. It looks like you're not registered for gift aid. You may want to think about that,
Right.
but that's how you do it. And then what happens, that payment, obviously we don't charge for it, but that payment will then appear on your donation page.
Right.
Now
Okay.
that's true for all of our other tools as well. So if you're running a raffle or selling
Yeah.
tickets for an event and people give you cash, check, bank transfer, you can always add it as an offline payment. Some tools such as raffles, they have bulk upload um, to help you out as well, but you only have single upload for donations.
Right, brilliant. Okay, that's great. So that's going to help because, as I say, we spend a lot of our time. Schools apply to the Resilience Fund, and then we go to around their area, the solicitors and the accountants, and see if they will sponsor the school. So we try and we send them the people's fundraising link and say, if you want to put it in through there. But some couple have come back and said, well, could you raise us an invoice? In which case it comes directly to us, and we want to alter that. So that's how I do that. That's fantastic. That's great.
Okay. And you had another question?
Yes. So the way this is set up, we're trying to fund every school in the country. So we have the big pot, which is £15 million. Then we're breaking it down into 96 regions or authorities. And then within that, there's going to be individual schools. So if we say, for instance, we run campaigns, you'll see on our website, it's the How to Be Happy campaign, Portsmouth, How to Be Happy in Birmingham, that sort of thing. And people will want to donate to that specific region. So what we want to be able to do in our marketing is send a link that pays money to that region, even though it's in the big amount that we're raising. And then we're going to have schools that have applied to us. So we want to create an individual school link so that that might go to parents, it might go to all different people. So if people are putting money in for a specific school to raise, say, their £495, we know it's gone to that school, but it's also gone to that school within that region of the overall pot. So it's getting separate links that work for, for individual things like that, because then that'll be much easier for raising money for a specific school.
Yeah. Okay. So what you do there is you use campaigns for that.
Okay.
So for charities in general, a campaign is an area of fundraising focus. So if you're a school, you're just a PTA. It could be we're raising money for new equipment for the playground, or it could be we're raising money for new books.
Yeah.
In your case, what you can do, you can create a campaign for either each of the schools and or each of the regions. Okay.
Okay.
So, for example, let's just do the school example. So, have you got and by the way, in fundraising, the more specific the fundraising asks, the more people are going to donate. So, if you just say, "Do you want to make a donation to Zoomos?" That's going to be less effective too. If you want to, can you make a donation to
Park School.
Farnham Junior School
Yes,
for
exactly.
this
Yes, yes,
purpose?
yes.
Okay. So, for example, because I live in Farnham, so Farnham. Now, would it be would the campaign be called anything else, anything in particular, other than just say Farnham Junior School or Farnham Junior School Mental Health Awareness or something like that?
It would be something like that. So farm schools resilience campaign or something. Everything's around resilience generally.
Okay, so every campaign has a name and description, and also every campaign you can associate and link any social media channels to it. So it could be a Zoomos platform specific link to it, or it could be Farnham Junior's own website, etc., or it could be Farnham Junior School's own website link for resilience. Okay.
Right.
Now, every page has its own campaign, or you can, from a campaign, create what's called a campaign wall. And if I set the defaults, what it will do, it will set up a page specific for the school, and then you can put in a target. So, say, I mean,
Well,
what
that'd
would
be
be
£495.
£495? Okay, let's put a thousand.
Yeah.
Now,
That's secondary.
if you raise it, yeah, because £490 is not too much, right? If you raise anything offline, you can add it here. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's similar to an offline donation,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit more generic.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can also add a theme. So you're using the orange theme, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right. And by default, it will create a donation page specific to that school as well. So I press create, and now I've got my specific page whereby now, when you're engaging with Farnham Junior School, they've got their own page, and Farnham Junior School has got its own donation page for the
Yeah.
Resilience Fund.
Right.
Okay. And so that took seconds to set up.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at this page, there's a lot that you may not want on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So in general, this is actually called a campaign page. And it's a place where I can now go and say, set up a donation page or a lottery page or a raffle page supporting this specific campaign. Okay. Now that's important for you because me as a parent, I only want to support Farnham Junior School.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to maybe set up an event or fundraiser, then I can click here, set up the page, the fundraising page, and it will be automatically associated with that campaign. Okay.
Okay.
But if I don't want all of those things on there, I click configure the wall,
Yeah.
and then I only specify the things that you think the parents and you want to engage in.
I'd
Okay.
like it to be just donate.
Okay. Well, we're going to come to that in a minute. So I think there's definitely more effective ways you can fundraise. Okay. So we're going to put the donation pages on there, maybe list the donations. Okay. Not to create a donation page, fundraisers. Okay. Just for the sake of argument, people can create a fundraising page and any social media hooks.
Right.
Okay, so I now click update. Now, if I update this now, this page will display a lot less information now. I used to think about it. So it's talking about, I can go to home. I've actually left these on. So
Yeah.
it's talking about setting up a team fundraiser or an individual fundraiser. It's giving a link to the donation page and it's got the target. As I make donations to this, the donations will also appear here as
Right.
well.
Right.
Okay. Now, the other thing I can do with this is I can do things like create launch page messages. So as specific content related to the campaign comes up, you can add it to the page. So, for example, we love dogs. I know this has got nothing to do with resilience, but I'm just thinking about an image I used earlier on today.
Yeah.
Okay, so this could be here's a report of the resilience fund in the school or something like that. I now press that, we love dogs, and if I now update this page, thinking about it, I've got the We Love Dogs. So essentially, it's the central place where you can communicate whatever out for this campaign. And as you do more interesting fundraising, so for example, if the parents come and they want to support the fund, they can set up their own fundraisers, or as
Yeah.
you engage the school and they want to raise more money to support, they may want to do things like sell tickets for an event, do their own raffles, all to support this fund, and therefore they will appear here as well.
Right.
Okay.
So a question will be, can that be under the umbrella of the overall Zoomos fund?
Yes. So now if we come back here, so this is the Zoomos, it's called Wall, right? So it's very similar to the campaign page. And again, you can configure this however you want. Okay. So let me just configure this for you to align it with your current look and feel. By the way, Rachel, I hope this is quite useful for you as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's really interesting.
Good. Right. So if I come to the wall and I can also configure the wall as well. So the first thing I want to do, I want to make it orange. And then let me just clear everything out again. So all
Yeah,
of
so
these things
it's
won't
with
appear.
I think it's who Kieran and I saw out on outreach, and then he was with Liam. So I would imagine it's the same person. Don't you think any different?
Okay, I'm not going to display donation pages or anything else.
Black
The
team,
only thing I'm
black
going to
team.
display are campaign pages and maybe social media hooks.
Yeah.
So I click update to that. And now on the generic Zoomos, you've now got how much is raised in total, and it talks about now the different campaigns, right? So you could potentially take this out actually. But so you could
I'll be
actually
honest,
have a
we didn't see
Zoomos
it because we
wall
had
whereby the only
the
thing you
post
see
that he gave the
are
name
the.
Johnny Lee, but it just
Sorry,
seems a
Rachel, I
little
think
bit
you've got some
suspicious that
background noise there.
he was with
Oh,
Liam.
sorry, I'll try
Yeah,
and mute myself.
Yeah,
fine.
I haven't used this.
yeah,
Mute. Here we go.
yeah.
Sorry.
So we're gonna refine this a little bit more now. make it look a little bit nicer. So we want to maybe, do you want to display the total generated?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I think so. Yes, definitely.
So we don't necessarily want that. We don't necessarily want the support accounts. We don't necessarily want that. We don't necessarily want comments, appeals. We want messages. We don't necessarily want the QR code, and we don't want that. So now if I update this now, this essentially talks about who Zoomos are, how much has been raised, but then you've got the specific school campaigns,
Yeah.
which is quite nice. So you can imagine here you've got all of the school campaigns, which is super cool. Okay.
So what do you do when it starts getting large, like thousands?
Well, there'll just be a lot on the
A
page.
lot. There'll just be a lot of things there. That's great, though. No, that's great. But you can then take it away once you reach its amount. You can take the campaign because it's completed.
Yes, that's right. So all you need to do there is, so we go to campaigns. And as an example, I'm going to remove this one here. So the campaign will still exist, but
Yeah.
the thing that I don't think you need is the campaign wall.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially the campaign still exists. Now, if I update this now, oh no, so that's the campaign itself. Let me go back to your wall. Right, so let's go back to your wall. Right, so can you see I've taken off that last, the Zoomos generic campaign. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But
Okay.
then you can imagine you've got like all of your schools here, and this now becomes a page where you can say, look at all the schools we're supporting, check out
Yeah.
what each individual school is doing. And literally, you can just imagine it's like a directory for these, and they zoom down into the specific schools and they see all the different types of fundraisers for that school. And so some schools are going to be more active than others. So some schools are going to be holding their raffles and
Yeah.
live meetings and shops, and others aren't. So
And they'll have their unique link for that, which is great.
yeah,
So, okay, so let's say on that hierarchy of Zoomos, £15 million, and within that, say I live in Portsmouth, so let's say it's Portsmouth campaign, of which there are 108 schools in Portsmouth. Right, we create a campaign for Snedman School they used to go to, so Snedman's Roman Catholic School, they're campaigning for there, but any payment has to overall reflect. So say, for instance, we're running a How to Be Happy Portsmouth campaign, because they're all part of a regional campaign. And somebody says, yeah, I'm happy to give some money to the campaign for Portsmouth. So we're going to create a Portsmouth campaign, which is going to have probably, say, £100,000 that we're looking to raise for Portsmouth. Within it is St Edmund's School, or one of the primary schools. So we kind of want to link them all together in a way. So yes, you've got your £15 million, then you've got £100,000 of that is for Portsmouth. And so we have a link. So if somebody sends some money, it funds either a Portsmouth school, or we created a link for 108 schools and a specific school within it. So that's how we kind of need this hierarchy to work. So people, if we're promoting the How to Be Happy campaign for Portsmouth, someone says, yeah, I'll happily give £10,000 towards it. It can go to any of the schools, not a specific school, comes into the Portsmouth campaign, and we can allot it to a school. How would we achieve that? So they kind of link all together.
Yeah, so you would just create another campaign for the region and then
Right.
describe the schools in the region, essentially.
So if say somebody then puts £1,000 into St Edmunds, will that show as raised on the Portsmouth campaign?
No.
See, is that possible?
So it will show on the overarching one.
Yeah.
So anything raising those will be shown here. So you can link from campaign to campaign. So I can create a regional campaign and then link these to them. But at the moment, the total from this campaign is not reflected in the regional campaign.
The regional. So the way we would do that is we'd manually change the regional campaign figure because we can see it's come into one of the Portsmouth schools. So we would then go in and do it as a single offline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can do that.
That's how we'd have to do it working at the moment.
Yeah, or you'd still have your regional campaign, and people are donating to the regional campaign.
Yeah,
And so you got the donation figure or the whatever
yeah.
fundraising figure for the regional campaign itself.
But then, and so just say 10,000 goes into a regional campaign, we could then go and allot that and say we've raised £1,000 for the next school on the list within
Oh,
Portsmouth,
that's true. Yeah,
and
oh, I
that's
see. Yeah, I see
completed.
what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
so somebody donates or fundraises £10,000 for the regional campaign. You can then go and do an offline payment
to the schools and
to the
tick them
schools
off.
themselves. Yeah, yeah,
Because the way we're working is people apply to the resilience fund and it's
yeah,
on a first come, first served basis. So it goes on there and they're the ones who fund first. So if people fund the Zoomos campaign nationally, the one at the top of the list gets funded first, wherever they are in the country. But if somebody's going to fund a regional campaign, it's whichever school applied first within that region.
yeah,
And then if we've got a school campaign, obviously it goes to the school. So we
yeah,
have to separate it all out like that.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, I understand how that works now. Right, good. So that's what we were fighting with in our head. Are you recording this actually visually as well?
Yes, yes. The
Oh,
whole
good.
thing's
So
being
I can
recorded.
get a copy of this because I'm going to give this, because I don't run the actual people's fundraising page. So
Yeah.
I'll send that to Roy, who does, and
Okay,
then
okay.
he can watch where your arrow was going, and
Yeah, yeah.
we'll do it that way.
Okay, so have you got another question? Because if not, what I can do, I can show you some more effective ways of fundraising.
Yeah, no, those were the two main things I need.
Okay, all
Thank
right.
you.
So the first thing is you may so this is not directly, but it's indirectly rated to fundraising. You may want to go fully branded. Okay, and so I'm going to talk about fully branded for a couple of moments, but then I'm going to talk about other ways I think you should more effectively fundraise. Okay, so what fully branded means is that um, instead of people going to peoplesfundraising.com and the page sometimes looking like peoplesfundraising.com or it doesn't, they go to say fundraising or give or dot whatever your domain name is, and then
Yeah,
when people make donations, when people buy raffle tickets, when people do fundraisers, so just say they're going to a donation page. So can you see on the donation page, it's fundraising.fostercare charity. There's nothing to do with people's fundraising here. So when people make donations, they're going to get an email from probably in this case fundraising at foster care charity, and the email is going to look like foster care charity itself. So for all intents and purposes, it's foster care. Now it's important for two reasons. First reason is when you want website integration, it's better to link to a fully branded page that looks exactly like your website than say a people's fundraising page. Okay, but the second reason is that it's all about brand recognition and trust.
yeah,
Okay, so you send somebody to a Farnham Junior School resilience campaign, and it's off people's fundraising, and then they make a donation, it's off people's fundraising, and although it may reflect your colours, it doesn't reflect your colours and
yeah.
identity
As a
as
brand, yeah,
possible, which the branded does. And so really it's about enforcing that trust and that brand recognition through the fully branded platform.
yeah,
Okay, so just think that's an option.
yeah,
And running a fully branded platform is less than running a Just Giving account without all the tools, without the branding. All right, and it's essentially pay as you go. So right now, put that aside for a bit.
yeah,
Now, what about potentially more ways of effectively fundraising? So I think when you have an organization that is top down, if you're a charity, a very local charity, you have a lot of individual supporters. Okay. And so you can go out to those supporters and you can engage them with typically things like raffles and ticketed events and auctions and things like that. But because you're an umbrella organization, you don't have that local supporter base. So what's the best way of you generating income? So if you ask for donations, which is what you're doing, is you're going to get a certain number of donations and that's it. You want to make things more interesting for people. Okay. So I would suggest doing things like setting up, for example, business sponsorship pages. Okay. So what do I mean by
oh, Yes, no, yeah, interesting. Yeah. I'll tell you briefly why I say this. I'm a social enterprise, not a charity.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, as a social enterprise, we can only accept 50%, up to 50% of our turnover as donations. Yet, what we are actually doing, a lot of with companies, is sponsorships. So they get something from it for the school. So it is a sponsorship. So we need to define between the two.
Yeah. Now, when you, in this case, you can have, for example, sponsorships for local, sponsorships for national. So what you really want to do is when you deploy to a region or a school, you want to set up, for example, community and company sponsorships for those regions and schools. What I'm giving you an example of is the umbrella one. Okay,
Yeah,
not a region and not a school. And the reason why you want to replicate that is you know, I work in Farnham, Surrey, and I'm a local business, and I want to know the sponsorship opportunities beyond just giving you a donation, where I get something in return, and I'm supporting my local school. So that's why you want to do it as close to the locality as
yeah,
possible, but then regional, because some companies want a broader exposure, or some
yeah.
communities. So it could be a local Rotary Club and things like that. And then this is a national one. So again, these campaign, because then you assign a campaign to it, one or many, and then so you assign it applicably. Okay, so I'm going to click add. And by the way, if you've got a region and you set up a business sponsorship, and just say you've got uh, 3 schools within that region, when somebody buys the business sponsorship, you could say, for example, 33% goes to one school, 33% goes to the other school,
Uh-huh.
right? And so the system's already allocating where the money's going, which
Yes.
is really cool. And so if this was a local Farnham one, you would essentially say the money for this business sponsorship 100% goes to Farnham Junior School. But because it's like Surrey regional, we want to split where that money goes to.
Okay. So that kind of deals a little bit with what I was saying before. So it's regional, but it only does that on a one-off. So if somebody does national, we can't then allot it to regional and then to a school.
If you do national, yeah, it's an interesting one, national, because if you've got 1,000 schools, you're essentially splitting a payment between 1,000 different things. Now, theoretically, so our system's pretty flexible, to be honest. Like virtually nobody allows you to do like at the campaign allocations like this.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
we thought we were super flexible because we allow you to split a payment 100 times.
right.
So that's a percent each
So, yeah,
to
each
each
school,
one.
yeah.
But in your case, it doesn't work, right? We don't, I mean, like, I can't imagine, like, so that's like, you know, splitting each percent another 10 times.
Yeah, no, no. Yeah, I mean, if as much as no, we wouldn't do it like that. But if somebody put in national, let's just say, for instance, somebody put in £10,000 into the national campaign because they put in the overall people's fundraising page, say £1,000, and we know that's going to go to a school. What we would probably do is allot it. We've got a school on the list. We'd allot it 100% to one of the regions, and then 100% to the school. So it's allotted to the correct school. That campaign ends because it's gone. It's gone from it's been given to national, but we've given it to that school. So it has to filter through that hierarchy.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating a membership or sponsorship. And again, you need to think about the value exchange between a company and yourselves. Okay. So there are going to be some businesses who are going to give you things for free and they're like donations, right? But you should always want to recognize that. But there are going to be other things that companies actually want something in return. So, for example, what can you give them? So I always do the bronze, silver, gold example. So bronze sponsorship, what can that give you? Well, you can have national exposure on our social media platforms, for example.
Yes. Yeah.
And the price of the membership, maybe that's £100, and there are only 100 of these. Okay, actually, maybe it's more, to be honest. Maybe it's £1,000, and there's only 100 of those, and that is every month. Okay, and you've got a start and end date, and it's tied to the Resilience Fund. Okay. Now, if I look at more of these sponsorships, now what else can you give? What else can be the value exchange? And again, you need to think about what that is. So, what can a business get from a national perspective? And this is what you need to think about, Gary.
I mean,
Okay.
we have all of this. So this is a lot to take in, and we're going to, obviously I will do it. That's why I want to rewatch it. We already have this and what they get for this sponsorship. So all the documentation and everything, we send it out. So we have national sponsorship documents and various stuff. So we would want to create this. So I can see exactly what you're doing, and it's definitely what we want.
Yeah. And so essentially what this now becomes is, because you've done the hard work of understanding what that value exchange is, this is now the action page.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've translated your ideas. Okay, a national sponsor can get this or this or this, and then you describe it as these packages. And then when you're talking to people about it, there's a QR code or there's a link they can take, and then they can come here and they can actually purchase, take that action, and it's into the system. Okay,
Yeah.
but also do things like this as well. So a lot of organizations miss the free sponsorships. Something else. So right. So this is like a free one. So remember, what you're going to use that link for, you're going to use that link when you're speaking to businesses or communities. It's like, come here, and you're going to socialize it everywhere on your social media platforms, on your WhatsApp, and people are going to be sharing it. And then they're going to come to that page outside of your conversation. Okay. And so you want to give people every opportunity to engage with you in the ways that you have thought about engagement, but also they think about engagement that you haven't thought about. Okay, so with a very simple addition, it's
Yeah.
like something else. Okay, we can take off that free. Have an idea. So if this link's being socialized, everyone loves the idea. Businesses are clicking on it all over the place. Some people are like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Other people are like, oh, okay, yeah. I need that tax write-off. And other people are like, I want to engage with you in a different way. This page now gives them that ability that they can go and put in their details, and now they're in contact with you for a wider discussion. Okay. So I would suggest, when you're going to your businesses, make it a bit more interesting. Say, yes, you can donate and we can recognize you on the respective donation page, but here are the things that as a business you understand. There's a value exchange here, more than just giving. So we support like five or so thousand charities. What we're finding is the donations are plateauing in favor of other more engaging type of fundraisers. Anything that implies a relationship, that's where charities, not for profits, are making now more money, because everyone wants that relationship.
Yes, and that's what we offer. So if somebody sponsors a school, they get invited into the school. They get various things that they can communicate, so they get to interact with the school and reporting and things. So how it's doing. So yes, quite often you see people want to be more involved with what it is they're supporting.
Yeah, yeah. So I've just updated that. These sponsor packages. A lot of on a lot of the pages you can change most things. Yeah.
Right.
But it sounds as though you've thought about this a lot, and then we can just help you translate your ideas of
Gonna
fun
need
quite nicely. Yeah,
that.
quite nicely.
For sure. I'm looking
Yeah.
at this, and we can play with it. And I'm definitely probably going to get Roy on one of these some stage, but we'll have a good look at it because it's
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. I can see how
Okay,
it
good.
works at the moment.
All right, is that okay then, Gary? And we move over to Rachel.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. Thanks for the time.
All right, no problems. All right, Rachel, thanks for your patience. Hopefully that was
That's okay.
of use.
Yeah, no, it's useful.
Good. Right. So yeah, what questions have you today?
Well, mine are really quite kind of basic. So we haven't even gone live or anything yet. I'm just sort of started last week trying to set up the pages, the wall, the hub. So I've probably got really quite a few basic questions. So I don't know if
Perfect.
Gary's going to be really bored.
No,
But so yeah, I was just looking at. I'm still sort of thinking about branded versus non-branded. I think you said for non-branded, you can kind of create a theme because I was looking at the themes on the drop-down list. So we're actually rebranding at the beginning of August, and we've got quite specific colours, which are actually kind of a darker purple than you've got, and then a coral pink there. But I was looking at the themes, so there wasn't really anything that completely matched. So I don't know if they're some of them seem to have names as though they've been set up for certain charities. Are they actually branded ones, or don't know if you can.
Yeah. So just to let you know about the branding. So the brand. So this, say, foster care charity,
Mm,
or so these are in development ones at the moment.
yeah.
This is a lovely one. Look, Sheffield Cats. How
Oh yeah.
cute is that? Right. And so these are systems in their own right. So they're people's fundraising, and they sit in their own infrastructure. So not only do you get the full branding and whatnot, and it's less than a Just Giving account, but you also get extra data protection and security because it's just your own data. So
Yeah.
you can have as many different themes as you want. And so generally themes, strange enough, they're hierarchical, I always say. So what do I mean by that is even on the branded platform, you have your basic look and feel. And then you
Mm,
may want to have themes that maybe highlight specific type of fundraisers, or they could actually highlight and reinforce community and company relationships as well. So,
yeah.
when you're going out there and you're bringing on business sponsors, it's like, okay, you can pay extra to have your own company theme. And a lot of time companies will do that because they want to be associated with you as a charity.
Mm,
Okay, and so you can create your own company campaign wall, and they can
yeah.
get their employees, family, and friends to fundraise. But then it may be more valuable to them to have that co-branding with more of their own company branding. Okay,
Yeah.
so on your branded platform, you can have as many themes anytime you want. So you just give us the collateral, and we'll create those for you. With that said, on the branded platform, and by the way, what's your account? And I can zoom into that.
Um.
Yeah,
So our current website is THL. Oh, yeah, it's Threshold. It should be.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So generally on people's fundraising, um, the themes have to be generic.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now there are, and the reason why is generally we get asked for themes every single day by everyone because everyone wants their own themes.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, some of the older themes, uh, some of the older themes are charity specific, and that
Mm,
was when everyone wasn't asking us for themes all the time. So they're still around. And also, if you're generating a lot of income on PF, then sometimes we'll give you your own theme as well.
mm,
Okay, but remember, it's the theming on people's fundraising is that middle ground, and it's
yeah.
that middle ground because we just actually did a RSPCA one today. Actually, it's the middle ground because although the page looks a little bit like, for example, in this case, RSPCA website, it
Mm,
still sits off people's fundraising, and when people get donations, it's going to come from people's fundraising,
yeah.
and the email is going to look like people's fundraising itself. So the fully branded one, there'll be nothing to do with people's fundraising. So the email will come from something like maybe fundraising at Threshold, and the email would implement your own email template. Okay.
can I
Right.
add something? Can I add something that might help there? Because
Yeah.
there is a certain thing to, especially if people don't know you or your business, to have people's fundraising there because it shows that you are on a fundraising platform like GoFundMe or something like that, which rather than just this is Zoomos fundraising and it's nothing to do with an official fundraising platform. That's one of the thoughts I always had.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think that's specifically true for sort of micro charities. I think for a charity who so Rachel, you're local, but you want people to know who you are. So there is something in you click support us, and
Oh, yeah.
actually,
Don't look at our current website.
no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. By the way, just looking at this, there's so much you could do. There's so much you could do. But
Yeah.
you know, but if you click donate, and I don't know where you go to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, you just want to go to a threshold donation page, you know?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's kind of all going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I was looking at so you just showed me the RSPCA one. So they're unbranded.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why, for example, we've done RSPCA is because we've got lots of local
Yeah.
RSPCA branches. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just looking at the difference because I was looking at there's another one in Swindon. I think it's Swindon Carers Centre that you do, and that's got completely unbranded. And yeah, when you click to the donate page, it does look like a people's fundraising page. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's okay. That makes sense of
Yeah.
that.
But
Cool.
you can you can have your own theme on PF, but generally what we say is it needs to be, for example, if you've got banner images and whatnot, can they
Mm,
be generic? So for example, see this image in the background, that would be a that
yeah,
yeah, that would be a perfect generic image. And
yeah,
so what we could do, we could replicate your colors and your fonts and also an image like that in the background, and that would be perfect, to be honest.
yeah.
So
Okay.
sorry, so we on the People's Fundraising page, you can't put like a banner, a photo of the banner. You can't choose. It has to be from your list.
Yeah, and so the reason why we do that as well is, so for example, there are actually some beautiful ones like this here. I think it's this one. Right, this is a lovely for a Christmas raffle. I mean, how
Mm,
beautiful is that? Really, really
Hmm.
nice. Now, somebody provided that content, and
mm,
now all of the charities can use it. So the reason why we don't allow people to do their own themes is you realize that people aren't very good at doing it.
Hmm.
Now, not that we're any good at doing it. That's why we ask people to provide their own look and feel, and then you get things like this. But when we first started out, anyone could create their own themes.
mm,
And okay, that's another one, to be honest. Anyone could create their own themes, and there were just loads that were really not good. And
Hmm.
so then people were going through the list, and they were just finding it was really
Oh,
hard to find the good ones.
it
Yeah,
mm.
appeared on the list for everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, then I started trying to start setting up my page. And the first thing what is the difference between the fundraising wall and the fundraising hub? Is one of them something that your donors see and something you see, or yeah, I got really confused.
No, great question. So they are both things that your supporters can see, but they have a slightly different purpose. Okay, so the fundraising hub, um, it answers. Okay, you've totally configured it. So let me show
I
you.
did that by accident.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry. Okay, I'll show you. Actually, I'll show you a branded example with
Okay.
just because I know there's content on here. Okay, now this is way our beams, and this is a fundraising hub. Okay, and the purpose of this is when you're going out on social media, WhatsApp, email, or in person, and somebody says, I really want to fundraise for you, it could be an individual, community, or company, you send them to this page and it literally directs them, start a fundraiser for, and then the name of the charity. And
Mm,
then it's literally directing people to set up a donation, in memory, fundraiser, raffle, tombola, any of these pages to set up for you,
mm,
and also any campaigns as well.
yeah.
Right? And so it answers that specific question. I'm a fundraiser. I want to set up a page, and therefore you send them here, and they can set up any of those pages. Now, you've probably seen already that you can turn any of these tiles off that you don't want
Yeah.
your supporters to set up if you want. Now, if I'm looking at here and I actually decide, okay, I don't actually want to set up a page, then it shows all the different fundraisers that the charity or other people have set up, like
Mm,
raffles, the normal fundraisers, teams, auctions, shops, and stuff like that. So it's quite a nice directional page, but then people can start navigating around. Now, the fundraising wall is
mm,
it displays very similar content, but it does it in a chronological order. But really answers the question. I'm a fundraiser. I want to see what sort of fundraisers people are setting up for the charity, and maybe I can browse historical ones. The focus isn't really, I want to set up a fundraiser. It's like, who's doing what. So you'd send them here, and yeah, it talks about the same content, but it's less directional in terms of creating a page than the hub. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, different charities use them for different reasons. So in Gary's situation, he may use the wall to highlight all the regional campaigns, and then you drill down into the campaigns itself. Other charities use it literally as a, come here and browse and see what everyone's doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from, say, their website, if they click, say, a donate button or something, they probably go to the hub rather than the wall.
Well, you can go to the hub. You can go back and forward to the hub and to the wall. Okay, so you go back and forward. You can actually turn that off if you don't want it. Um, but that's only by design. So I suppose one question you can ask yourself is, you've got those two different types of pages. How would you use them? So you would definitely use this page, when you're doing your social media campaigns and stuff like that. And it's like, one question out there is, do you want to fundraise for us? There's lots of different ways you can do it, and then you'll send them here. But then when you're having that social media conversation, other conversations will be things like, you know what? We've got a really great team of people doing the Waterloo Walk. Click here and take part. Or another social media conversation would be, we're doing a pottery painting evening. Do you want to sign up? Click here. Or another one would be, hey guys, we got our big summer raffle. Come here and click here. Right. So the different pages, you direct people at different times, pretending what your conversation is. And in fact, going back to Gary again. So Gary, this is why you should, everyone needs to make fundraising interesting. So on Rachel's social media profiles, if the only thing she was doing was, because what they're doing is people love. By the way, if you're doing anything with children, cats, dogs, homeless, you should be generating lots of income, because they're the most profitable in terms of fundraising charities, right? So yes, I can imagine Rachel's social media. Actually, let's go to it, shall we?
Oh no, don't go to our social media. I haven't got anything on that either.
All right,
it's all going to start next month. You just
oh, right, okay, all right.
bear with
So
it.
yeah, so you can imagine, like, Rachel's social media profile. It's got lots about, how they're helping, who they're helping, what they're doing, success and failures. Now, if the only fundraising ask on all of those posts was, do you want to make a donation to us, everyone's going to get bored by that. So now you're changing that up. Now you're saying, one conversation is, do you want to set up a fundraiser? Come here. Another one is, do you want to enter the, Waterloo Walkers, which is a different thing? Or another thing is, do you want to buy a ticket for pottery painting evening? Or another one is, do you want to enter our big raffle? And so people are interested in what they're reading because it's an emotional tie, and they're interested in fundraising because there's something for everyone. Some people enter the raffle, some people do the auction, some people make a donation, some people will do the business sponsorship. And that's the key to fundraising. Make it interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So if I wanted to do an event,
Yeah.
and then I wanted people to, so we're putting on the event, but people would be creating their own fundraising page for the event rather than coming onto our fundraising page. Does that make sense? So we'd be selling tickets for the event, and then we'd be asking people to raise money through their own page. Would that kind of link into our event, but they'd have separate fundraising pages?
So is a scenario whereby, for example, maybe you've got some London marathon tickets, people come, they buy the tickets from you, and then they set up their own fundraising page?
It's like that. We're doing a sleep out. So they'd sort of pay however much to attend the sleep out as a basic rate, and then they'd get sponsorship.
Okay, great. So threshold sleep out, right? So what I'm doing now, I'm setting up an event page, okay? And I'm not going to think too much about all the details, but just go through it. where you can like hide things and whatnot. Anyway, I'm going to click automatic create fundraising page.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not, you can also link it to a team fundraising page as well.
Mhm.
Right. So I'm going to press create there. I'm adding it to threshold, although ultimately threshold wants to have multiple different campaigns. And then I've got my ticket, buy a great night out. Right. I don't know how much you're charging. Just say it's £10, and there are 100 people that can come along. You can enable people in groups to purchase, say up to 10. You put a sale start and end date, and I press create. Okay, so now what I've got, it literally took me seconds to do that, didn't it? This could be obviously fully branded. You know, it will talk about the evening. It talks about when it is. If you put a address in, it would also have the location as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I buy tickets. I can buy as many as I want. Just say 3. Google Pay, Apple Pay. 90% of people pay Google Pay, Apple Pay. Debit card or credit card, PayPal. Or if people give you cash check, you can put those in. So I put in my details. It tells me how much in total, and then I can set up my own fundraising page, right? So by clicking here and putting in my username and a target
Okay.
amount,
Yeah.
then what the system will do is the system will automatically create that fundraising page for me, send it to me via email, and then they've bought the ticket for entry and they have their own fundraising page that they can go to their family and friends and get sponsorship.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So sorry, going back to the wall or the hub,
Yeah.
I can't remember which. I think it was the hub. Can you customize the text that appears in each section?
So let's have a look at this.
Or
So sometimes things like this you can't, but yes, anything like here you can.
yeah, because the raffle is sort of saying offer raffle. It's talking about giving supporters the chance to win prizes, but this is kind of directed at the supporters. So shouldn't it be saying, was this for people doing their own raffles?
Yeah, this is people for setting up their own raffle. So
Yeah.
actually, to your point, that's a really good point. Actually, we should change that because we use the same text in two contexts. One is to talk about charities setting up their own pages, and one is for supporters. So I think we will update that so we have two descriptions for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And by the way, that brings me to another point. If there's a tool or feature that you think is missing from the platform, then as long as other charities will potentially use it, and that's a really good spot there, Rachel, then we will implement it for free, even if it's a whole new tool.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Right. What else is going to ask? Campaign. Yeah. So I started trying to set up a donate page, and I got a bit confused. And the only option I could see for donating was a single donation of up to £15 via a card payment, and I couldn't work out if that was something I'd ticked. Or
Okay. So if you click update, when you first go to the page, there's not too much on there, so you can put in like make sure you put in suggestions and things like that.
yeah.
But if you look along the top here, you've got payment methods.
Oh, okay.
And so what you can do, you can enable Google Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal. So your donate page should actually have PayPal, but also you can enable direct debit as well
Okay.
and gift voucher. Okay. By default, we have these off.
Okay.
But you can put them on. Now, one of the reasons why we have it off is we give a lot of different direct debit payment options. So if we now click update onto that, click continue, and then on your donate page now, you've now got Google Pay,
Oh, yeah.
Apple Pay, debit card, credit card, PayPal, and then
Perfect.
weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly, 3 months, 6 months, or a year direct debit.
Great.
And you collect it as people's fundraising direct debit, because obviously individual companies can't set that up and they take direct debit. So you can take direct debit.
That's right. So direct debits can set up companies can set up direct debits, individuals can as well, and also schools also. But what they can't do is companies can't reclaim gift aid.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking myself as a company, we're not authorized to set up direct debits as a company, because you have to go through certain checks and everything to be able to do that. But obviously, if it's direct debit, that's via yourselves, I assume. So you're authorized to take direct debit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope you don't mind if I need to go in a minute onto because we're coming up to the hour. Can I ask one quick question, Rachel? Would that be all right? Just
Yeah, of course.
before we
Yeah.
go off. One of the things we noticed when we were setting up, and because I wasn't setting it up, Roy was, it was saying that when you have a campaign amount, and then you set up like a region, it was asking you what percentage of the total is it, rather than, and he was getting very confused around the percentages. And we think we were breaking it down and saying, okay, so we actually got to work out, we've got 96 campaigns and it's 100,000 or whatever it is. We had to say it was a percentage of the total amount. And we're going, oh, this is going to get very complicated because we might not get that right. And then we'll end up not breaking it up correctly.
So I think you're referring to assign a campaign. So in this case, Threshold has got one campaign. They could have multiple campaigns. So they could have, we're raising money for a new extension. We are raising money for a particular region in a city for homelessness and things like that. And then whenever you create any page, you can either do 100%. So 100% of the money will go to this page, or then you can start splitting it out. And we've got the possibility to split a payment out 100 times.
Right. So just say once again on our hierarchy, we've got £15 million, and then we create Portsmouth, of which we're raising just say £100,000. He felt at that time you had to say, if the math were that simple, what is that? What is £100,000 of the 15 million? But you don't actually have to do that, do you?
What I would do is I would have a campaign for the region and have campaigns for the schools and have a campaign for an umbrella, because if somebody is interested in a school, they're going to donate or fundraise for that specific school using their pages, their donation pages. If it's for a region, they're not interested in the local, they're interested in the regional view. And so they want to be recognized just for that region. So, you want to allocate 100% of the purchase to the region. Now, how you subsequently split that money up is something else, is a different thing.
Okay, I think that's like you say, that's to keep it separate, and then we can allot it as we want after, so if it goes into a region, but it's going to go to one of the schools, we can then just allot it to that school and say they're funded. Okay, okay, that's lovely. Sorry, I didn't take your name right at the beginning. So
Nathan.
Nathan, thanks, Nathan. I really appreciate the time. It's nice to meet you, Rachel. I need to.
Gary. Gary, by the way, one of your business sponsorships would be sponsor a school. However much that is, that's one of your sponsorships. So you don't.
To be honest, it's all about schools, so it would be to sponsor the school.
And the regional one could be, you can sponsor a school within the region, but you can select as many schools as you want to sponsor.
Yes.
How cool.
That's the next thing. I mean, once we set this up, we have this whole calculator right up to the national database of schools on our website. And that took a lot of building. So this week we're going to create something for this. Nathan, thanks. So, I mean, I'm going to speak with Roy now, and he's going to start looking through it. Maybe we'll join this if you're doing this each week to get it. I can see where we can go with it and really just build it up. So give some time.
All right. Thanks so much, Gary.
Lovely. Thanks ever so much. And nice to meet you, Rachel.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, Rachel.
So I was going to ask, sort of like on the setup stuff, is there any YouTube videos or how to document or anything, just on the basic stuff on how to use the pages, how to fill things in and everything, so I don't have to keep bothering you.
So we do have a YouTube channel. I'll send you
Yeah.
the link afterwards, actually, and it talks about their different videos. Sometimes about how to set up a raffle or membership or auction or live meeting. So I'll send you that. Um, what we try and do on the platform, we do try and make things as user friendly as possible. So, for example, if you're setting up a raffle page, once you've figured that out, then setting up event page is very much similar, very much similar. So, yes, there's a lot on the platform, and sometimes people when they log in, they say, "What are all these things? Oh my god, I don't really know what to do." But then just take things. Just take things slowly. Now, with that said as well, we do actually like to sit and chat with you, okay? Because it's about us supporting you to become, fundraising the most effectively as fast as possible.
Mm.
Now, also on branded platform, I don't know if I've said this before, you get extra support for a branded platform. So we
Yeah.
give. Did I mention this before to you?
You told me about, like, there's 3 training sessions you get if
That's
you're on the
right.
branded, which
Yeah,
sounds really good.
yeah. So yeah, we give the
I'll write that
front
down
office
again.
training for an hour. That's like,
Yeah.
what are all the tools? How do you use them all? There's the back office. The question is what information is generated on the platform? How do you get it out, and how do you map it into your backend system? And then we have the fundraising accelerator day. We spend like 4 hours with you face to face if possible, but it can be online. And we go through what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Who are your current individual, community, and company fundraisers? How do you communicate them? What are your fundraising asks? And then we take all the tools. Then we say, now these can be all of your different fundraising asks. And then we go through and we say, okay, this is how you can update your website. This is when you're communicating out via your WhatsApp channels. This is all
Mm.
the different fundraising asks you can now introduce to those.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Because yeah, as I said, like the website, we want it to go. We're changing our domain name and all our branding and literally all of the content. We want that to go live sort of 4th of August probably. So we've kind of got a month to get everything together. So that's the other thing I'm sort of concerned about is coordinating all the links, how people's fundraising talks to our website. If we do want to add the branding, how long would that take? How long would it take to do the training, and get everything together? So I'm starting to panic slightly. Um, so uh, I'm not sure what you'd recommend in terms of timeline and what we
So
need to do.
So you've already got your People's Fundraising unbranded site, so
Yeah.
we can help set up all of those pages. That's no problem. Like any page you want. Uh, and so that's just a couple of phone calls. Now, if you want the branded platform, then it only takes us a couple of days, if not a day, to set up a
Mm.
branded platform. So you've definitely got time. The branded platform's hosted on something called Amazon Web Services, and
Oh
and so
yeah.
you bear the cost of that. And we always recommend that you get what's called the Amazon Web Services not-for-profits voucher, which gives charities $1,000 a year, and that should see you generate over £1 million on the platform. Now, the only gotcha with that is that Charity Digital in the UK, I think it's Charity Digital Exchange or TechSoup,
Mm.
they changed their name. They administer that $1,000 offer. So Amazon give it for free, but Charity Digital charge like £79 or something. So that works out about £6 a
Oh
month.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I think
yeah.
you mentioned
Now,
that before.
yeah. Now, sometimes charities find that Charity Digital take a bit of time to get back with that voucher. So
Mm.
that's the longest time we find in setting up these platforms
Mm.
at the moment. So if you did want to go for a fully branded one,
Mm.
we could start the process today or whenever you're ready. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, the longest time is just getting this Charity Digital voucher. But technically, we can set it up within a day.
Yeah.
We'll align, say, with whatever look and feel you'd like us to align with, and that's including email templates,
Mm.
domain names, so fundraising.threshold, for example.
Mm.
And then what we say, technically, that's the start of the journey. Then for you, and to your point earlier on, you need to think, what pages and how do we integrate into our website? So I think you've done something very good on your website. Instead of having donate top right hand corner, at least you've got start fundraising or support us. That's a lot better than donate. So you click on support us, and then you'd still have the support us. But then the question is, you've got all these tools that individuals, communities, and companies can now use. How are you going to rephrase and reframe that support us page?
Yeah.
Noting that again, there's a big difference between communities, company, and individual fundraising, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really the start of it. But this is the point of the fundraising accelerator, to get the whole team up to a place whereby you know what you're going to do on your website, and or what you're going to do communicating out on, say, social media and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, we drafted all the website pages, but yeah, obviously going forward, we want to develop it from something very basic to taking on more things and doing more. So that'd be really helpful. How long does it take to sort of book training?
Oh, so you can have training whenever you want.
All right.
And so if you want it physically, then generally you host the premises and we'll come to you. What we generally ask is that you bring all of the fundraising or primary fundraising stakeholders together. And the reason why is a lot of people don't know how to do fundraising effectively. And so everyone from the CEO all the way down to the volunteer, they can all contribute to fundraising. And even people like the CEO, they are part of the fundraising team. And so they may
Yeah.
speak to different types of people. So they may speak to the suppliers and businesses. And so it's good for them to understand the value exchange, and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah. 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 The CEO is probably the person I'm literally the only fundraising person here. So kind of like the CEO is kind of how I just bounce everything off.
yeah.
So that's, maybe we have a fundraising trustee. And for the back end stuff, would that just be the finance
Yeah.
and website
Yeah.
text?
Yeah. Essentially, it'll be the finance team.
Yeah.
And what so it'll be yourself and the finance team, and the reason why is one of the big questions is how do you map the data that's output from the system into the back office. And so how you do that is when you set up a campaign,
Mm.
so you'll be setting up the campaigns. You've got a new fundraising focus, and you have these things called codes. And so the codes are the account package or CRM codes
Hmm.
that when the account team import the data, the record has got the right code that therefore it can be automatically mapped into the account package system. And so that means that when you're thinking about the different campaigns, you've now determined a campaign, and then you go to the accounts package and saying, we're running this campaign, give us some codes. So when you
Yeah.
import the data, it's automatically integrated into it. So there's a
Okay.
bit of it helps you work together.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, and the other thing I was going to ask, we've applied for we're applying for the Big Give. To That's obviously do you know what the Big Give is? Like the week. So we're intending to do an appeal, sort of a Christmas appeal, which will maybe launch end of October, sort of November, over Christmas, maybe later. But obviously for that week, we want people to give it through the Big Give portal so that we can get match funding for it. So I wondered how would that just be a case of us on our website during that week redirecting them to the Big Give webpage or whatever they set up, and then the week after just redirecting it back to the
That's correct.
people's
Yeah.
funded? That so it's just something tweak our end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. And so if we go to your website, let's go to your website. So a lot of people say, what about the integration? And a lot of the time, just say this was donate. You would
Yeah.
click it, and it would literally just go to the Big Give page,
Okay.
right? Um, or here, you would update this to say something like, well, okay, we're doing the Big Give this week. And so that would go to the Big Give page. So you would literally just swap out the link that this goes to. That's
Yeah.
all. And so
Okay.
in your branded platform, future, when somebody clicks on that, they're just going to this same looking page with donate buttons and whatnot on it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you don't want any more complicated like embedding of iframes or anything. It's just everything should be hyperlinked.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Definitely. I don't think there was anything else about the, oh, there's a bit where it says linked QR code. Is that when we buy a QR code, or do you generate a QR code?
Yeah, so every single page, your hub, your wall, your campaign pages, raffle pages, donation pages, they all have QR codes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so one of the ways to get to them is, can you see the share button?
Yeah.
If I click share and it's got the QR code to the page on it.
Oh, fab. We were
Right.
just about to buy a load of QR codes, but if they
Don't do that.
come with, we
They've
won't
all
do
got,
that then.
yeah, every page has got the QR code. But this share widget's pretty nice as well, talking about it. So like
Yeah.
I'm a supporter and I can scan that or right click and download it and whatnot. Or I can
Yeah.
just copy the link and paste it somewhere. But these are really cool as well. So I can click here and it will open up my WhatsApp and it will post something in the WhatsApp for me.
Oh, okay.
Which is cool.
Perfect.
Or or the other ones, or
Yeah,
Twitter, it will post, it will start to, okay, I need to log in. But you get the idea. It will direct you to those sites and it will post a template comment in there for you.
Yeah, perfect. And you don't, that's the other thing, sorry, I know we're over time. With the corporate memberships, which you talked me through before, which we're probably going to set up actually after we've launched all the rest of it, because we're just running out of time. But we are looking for corporates to give us the match funding as part of the application for the big give. So I think, would it be better for us to approach the corporates about that first before advertising corporate membership? Because we don't want them all to sort of say, right, I'm going to get a gold membership or whatever membership, and then feel like we can't then approach them for the match funding.
That's a relational question as opposed to
Yeah.
a functional question. I mean, it
Well,
depends.
yeah.
It depends on your relationship. But you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
But to your point though, a corporate membership could be the bronze, silver, gold honors. Bronze, silver, gold honors. Anyway, bronze, silver, gold, whatever. And
Yeah.
then you've got another thing which is just pay for the match funding money type thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you just give them choices.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
know,
a good one.
yeah. I mean, I would do what you've just said actually. Just go to the company, because having a company relationship is no different from having an individual relationship or a community relationship. It's just a relationship. You go to them and say, look, we got this thing. Do you want to contribute?
Yeah.
That's what it is. And yeah, I will go to them now. Because then you've got something else to go back to when
Yeah.
we've developed out the company membership or sponsorship, and say, thanks very much. We wanted to we wanted to show you this first. And remember that the company memberships can be as simple as you're giving the company a branded company fundraising wall. That's very important for companies.
Yeah.
And that could actually be a thank you for a company who supported you in the past, but they didn't know what the future was like. So you can go back to them and say, you gave us money for the big give. Just as a thank you, here's your own company, obviously co-branded with Threshold, company fundraising page. It's just there if you want to use it, and that will help out in their CSR, function.
Is that pretty simple to set up those pages?
Yeah. So if we come back here, so imagine this is your own branded site, okay?
Yeah.
And so you create a campaign, and this is, just say it's a local solicitor. Okay, and these will be your themes and whatnot. And so I've just created a local solicitor campaign wall. Okay, so imagine your own look and feel. You can have another theme with the company's logo. You can put the company's logo here and things like that. So you then go back to them and you say, thanks very much. This is just a little thank you. You can use this, to do all of your company fundraising now. And we just wanted to say thank you for it. And again, they've got their own donation page and as well and whatnot. you know.
Real.
So and again, that took 2 seconds. But
Yeah.
again, if it was on your branded platform, it would look even more impressive. You know, it would really, really look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
I don't like that pink, I've decided. Yeah.
Pink and purple.
Yeah.
Real. I think that's all my questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot to think about, but I'll have a chat with my CEO about going for the branded stuff, because I just think it'll be a lot smoother. It'll just look a lot better, especially with the whole new brand refresh we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be
Definitely.
perfect. Yeah, just let us know. Give us a call or email, and if you want to progress, we can get that up as
Yeah.
super fast. All right.
Brilliant.
All right.
Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
Graham.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good to
Thank you
see
very
you
much,
again.
Rachel.
All right.
All right.
Cheers. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.